रोशनी का कारवां.
This podcast is brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का कारवां. रोशनी. Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
Hi, my name is George Abraham and welcome to Eyeway Conversations. My guest today is Praveen Kumar G, a development professional and a trainer. Hi, Praveen, welcome.
Hi, George. Nice to be on your show.
So, Praveen, you are a development professional. What actually prompted you to get into the development space?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, during my childhood, I did study in St. Joseph's School in Bangalore. And it was around that time in my 11th standard. In Bangalore, we still call it PUC, so PUC first year, wherein I met with one of my professor who talked about Masters in Social Work. And he did bypassingly mention in the class saying that, this is one opportunity that, we could explore. So it was just by pass he mentioned, and obviously at that time we didn't know what MSW was and what it entailed. But he only said that yes, it is something where you work with people and you serve people. So that was the first kind of introduction I had. But when I heard about Masters in Social Work and being visually impaired and having the opportunity to study and be educated, I really thought that is something I could explore.
You've been in the development space for more than 2 decades. So what are the different issues related to development that you've been involved with?
Yeah, I've been working on a range of issues, primarily focusing on working with vulnerable groups, women, children, farmers, marginalized groups, tribals, scheduled caste communities, rural people, young people, and so on. And my primary focus has always been to ensure that vulnerable groups, marginalized people have access to basic services like health, education, livelihoods, social security, and so on. And across this, I look at how people with disabilities are included and also get the opportunity to have access, but also become more aware about development programs and services.
You've traveled a fair bit and you've seen a fair bit of India. Now, you talked about these various issues that you've been engaged with. So, according to you, what is the status? Meaning, is it far away from what is desired, or there is hope?
George, it's a bit of both, because we see in the country across different states, there's a huge divide, urban and rural, and more so in both locations, like poverty, issues of poverty are there. There is structural inequality, and even now there are challenges that people do face in accessing healthcare services, education, and employment. So these are the kind of basic requirements that we as human beings have. So that challenge still lies. But having said that, there is hope, because there are a lot of schemes, there are a lot of programs, and I believe that awareness is still lacking amongst a large number of population, particularly in the tribal belt, and also in urban areas where people do not have access to information or digital technology and so on. So that's where we still see that gap. But there is a hope where civil society organizations are doing their bit. Now we have corporate social responsibility. We also have international organizations working. So there is definitely a hope and opportunity in enabling people to understand what their rights are and what they require, and how they're able to access some of these services and programs.
Praveen, if you were given the power to transform India, what are the 3 first things that you would do?
So one is definitely enhance accessibility for people with disabilities. So that includes in all arena. I know we know that there are a lot of challenges even now when we're talking about digital India and so on, how we do struggle in accessing various platforms, apps or websites. So definitely the communication access is one, and also the physical access in terms of mobility. So that's definitely going to be top one. The second is talk about more equitable distribution of resources and services for looking at taking into consideration gender and disability and other vulnerabilities in terms of, as I said, accessing basic services like health, education, livelihoods. And the third one is also more empower communities at the grassroots level so that they have a greater say at the Gram Panchayat level or the Gram Sabha level, so that the dream of a bottom up approach comes in terms of budgeting and implementing development programs.
If you know of anyone with vision impairment who needs guidance on living life with blindness, please share the Eyeway National Toll-Free Helpline number 1800-5320-469. The number is 1800-5320-469.
You've also, in the course of your professional work, traveled extensively in countries in Africa. What has your experience been? Has it been very different from what happens in India, or that's been different?
It's been totally different, George. I mean, many countries are much more behind than where we are, and mainly because of the resources, the lack of resources and the opportunities that are there. So, and they are also picking up. Like I know in Zambia, there are networks of youth with disabilities, Kenya, across Uganda and Ethiopia as well. So there are different networks of people with disabilities that are emerging, and there are civil society organizations also who are working. But the big challenge is access to assistive devices, which are very expensive in those countries. We don't have services like surgeries or taking people to for the other when you do refractive corrections for eyes, or you do the other surgeries for eyes in particular. So those services are also very few. So that again becomes a challenge. And the ignorance and the sympathetic approach is much more higher. It's there in India as well. I'm not saying it's not, but in some of the countries it's very higher. So, for example, someone who has albinism is considered, being unworthy or even linked to witchcraft and so on. So they're literally thrown out of the house or they're killed and so on. So it's worse in some of the cases in parts of Africa.
So as a blind professional working in Africa, what were your challenges?
While traveling, George, I mean, there are challenges, but as I said, if you keep on counting the challenges, it becomes multifold. So, one should not look at the challenges, but look at what are the solutions, and we just move on, because everyone has challenges. So let's take that as given, because as human beings, we all, whether we are disabled or non-disabled, we do have challenges. But if you keep counting them, it's just it gets stacked up, and it keeps on going. But how do we overcome those challenges? So like for anyone who's traveling to some parts of, I wouldn't say all parts of Africa, but some parts, like if you go to places like Kenya and Ethiopia and so on. So there may be issues of security. That's for everyone. And if you're an individual from a foreign country in a country, always you're looked upon as a foreigner, and definitely there are eyebrows raised, and people look at you as an expat. So you need to be careful. And so I haven't faced any untoward incidents, touch wood. But I'm always cautious about where I'm going and what I'm doing, who I'm moving around with, and so on. So it's overall, it's been a wonderful experience, and I do love to travel and meet people, and I've worked with even district offices in some of these countries and different organizations. So it's quite an interesting journey so far.
You've also been a trainer. What made you get into training, and what's the kind of training that you have been doing, and whom have you been doing training with?
Yeah, so as I said, George, building awareness and changing people's attitude, behavior towards disability has been my passion for the last 20 years. And that's the reason why I did my master's in social work as well. And I thought training is an opportunity and is a way that one can influence people and bring about behavioral change. So, I've been doing training on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And in India, I've trained government officials, UN agencies, a wide number of civil society organizations, and even corporates. And currently, I do trainings internationally across different countries on social inclusion and gender. And I find that more satisfactory and very convincing, where one is able to influence people to look at disability from a mainstream and a development perspective.
You also have was sharing with me some time ago that you're interested in traveling, and especially historical places. Is it an interest in history that you have?
Yeah, it started basically. I'm a student of history, and I love history of countries, or history of the local context. So that love for history took me to visit a couple of places when I was studying in Bangalore. So I used to visit Mysore and Hampi and those kind of places, and started enjoying the ambience and the feel of the places. So people did ask me many a times, and even now they do ask me that, you're blind, why do you visit those places? What do you get out of it? You can't see the structure, you can't see the scenery or the beauty of that place. I said it's not about that, but it's more about how we sense that particular location, and how we are able to cherish that moment and that ambience by being there. Is something which I like. And most of the places, George, if we as blind people visit, we are also allowed to touch. Mysore Palace, I remember when I went to the palace, one of my friend who was guiding me, he asked the security guard, can I touch those arms and those portraits? He said, yes, you can. So it was a great experience. And in most places now, also they have guide, where you can take a guide, and the guide can describe you that particular image, what is there, but also they will say what is the history about that particular place. So, for example, it largely happens in places like Konark and other locations where I visited. So those are also very nice in terms of enjoying that particular moment and time in history.
So it's not just about seeing the things, but it's an experience which is beyond seeing, right?
Yes. And I also went up Alps once when I was in Switzerland. I went up Interlaken and Jungfrau with a couple of my friends, and the fun of going there and experiencing that, and also climbing that icy kind of a mountain cap was fun. You have to hold the rope and climb, and obviously there are friends around who describe what is there and what view they are seeing. So you get a image in your head.
Praveen, you've been kind of widely traveled, and one of the things, even in India, when you travel, you experience different cultures, different foods. So tell us a little bit about how you respond to this diversity.
Yeah, yeah, we are a country of diversity, and as I said, I'm from South, and now I live in the North. I live in NCR, and in the South, the total ambience is different. Where, as you said, food. You get idli, dosa, and those kind of stuff, and also you go to the local hotels and places, and it's fun. It's just fun going around, and even sometimes I go alone as well. I just go and have a bite of idli and coffee and come in one of those standout eateries and stuff. So it's really enjoyable. And when I travel to other places, also I do explore. As I said, I like meeting people. I like understanding cultures. Uh, People also invite me for dance programs. Whenever I used to go to Bhubaneswar, I did go for dance programs, and then enjoy the local art where they sell different curios and mementos and stuff, and understand that particular perspective. Again, when you come to Gujarat and Maharashtra, that's a total different kind of ambience where you get bada pav and those kind of things. But people are friendly everywhere. But yeah, you need to be sensitive to their culture and their ethos, but at the same time be polite and kind of ask help whenever required. So if you're shy, it's not for you. I mean, one can't travel if you're shy. You need to keep asking if you need help. So that's something what I learned at a very young age.
You've been traveling fearlessly and confidently across the country, internationally. What is your one-point strategy for this?
Yeah, George, looking back, I think if I need to be organized, I think that's what I learned. So being organized and knowing what I'm going to do and being confident about that really helps. So in all my travels, one thing always comes to my help is that I'm organized, because we those days, now we have the mobile, and we can flash out the e-ticket and so on. But those days, yeah, if you're traveling, make sure that the ticket is printed, and you know which ticket is which, because I might have 3 tickets in my bag, and I wouldn't know which one is one. So maybe just braille index them, or those kind. And then how managing money, for example. So in India it's fine, but when I travel abroad, which currency I'm carrying. So you be aware about that. Be aware about the local contexts where I'm going. So if I'm traveling to Koraput, I definitely need to know. Koraput is in Orissa, India. So I need to know what are the local situation. Is there any local disturbances there, and so on. So, and what are the train journey, train distance, time? What time will I reach? I don't want to reach there in the middle of the night when there's nobody to pick me up from the station. So all of that. The last one is be excited. I mean, every travel is exciting for me. So even if I've been there before, so even tomorrow you tell me go to Bhubaneswar, that will definitely be an exciting journey for me.
To support our work with the blind and visually impaired, you can visit the donate page on our website www.scorefoundation.org.in. Please note www.scorefoundation.org.in.
So you've been blind since birth, I believe. What was the cause? Is it some kind of genetic issue, or is that something that happened at birth?
Yes, George. It's hereditary. My father was blind, and I have retinitis pigmentosa, which was detected very early stage. When I was young, I could see a little bit, just shadows, and it went down gradually as I grew up.
So while you were studying, you said that you had studied at St. Joseph's School. What was the kind of ecosystem that supported you or helped you along?
Yeah, one, I would say the teachers and the principal had the mindset to open the doors for a blind child. I think that was the beginning step, and I would say that was the end step as well, because that was a very big thing. This was way back in the 80s. And then they did ensure that I would always sit in the first row in the classroom so that I could follow the lessons. They did ensure that the notes, my friends would provide me with the notes and I would take it back. And my mother did play a major role in reading those notes for me every day. We used to record that on cassette and I used to listen to that. And in exams, they made sure that there was a scribe who could write for me as well. So yeah, I mean, a lot of things that they did in terms of making it inclusive.
A lot of visually impaired people complain that when they are in the school, opportunities to be part of the extracurricular scenario of the school is very limited. What was your experience?
It was a challenge, George, and I remember going into the physical training class, what's called as PT class, and that was it because I did try to participate in the lunch break with my friends, trying to play cricket, like maybe throw the ball or something, but it didn't work. Honestly, it didn't work. So I was definitely left out on that. But there are other avenues where I did participate in the mimicry session. These other cultural activities.
Yeah.
So like you do a mimicry show, or you impersonate someone. You may sing a song. So different those kind of activities I was engaged in. And they also made sure that I participated in the annual drill sessions and all, only when it was the certain drills which had where you have to use a torch with a fire. They said, no, we can't risk it. So, and that's absolutely, acceptable because, I don't want to risk my life with a, flame.
When it came to employment, did you get a job easily, or you had to kind of knock several doors?
Yeah, it was fairly easy, I would say, because after I did my master's in social work, I decided I'll work with organizations, and that time, ActionAid had come up with this development traineeship program, and I had applied and I got in. It was quite a smooth kind of transition. So, but one question which always I think is the fact that they had in mind was, and in the interview they would ask me was, Praveen, can you travel? Because the nature of job entailed a lot of travel. You had to go to the villages, you had to form self-help groups of women, you had to go interiors and build capacity or spread awareness on issues, and that was the nature of the job. So they asked me invariably, Praveen, can you travel? And they asked this 2-3 times, and they also ensured that I was capable, and I liked traveling. So I think that came to my benefit as well.
So mobility is very critical in employment.
Yeah, in a role like mine, definitely. But I know people who blind people who can do office jobs. See, I'm passionate about traveling and I'm passionate about development. So, both kind of merged and intertwined. And I enjoyed working and traveling. And this might not be the case for everyone, because blind people I know, they don't like traveling. So, I know a blind person who's a good friend of mine. He teaches. He said, no, that's not for me. I want to teach. And he's fine with that. So it's individuals' choices.
Yeah, I guess every blind person is unique and distinct, and they have their own passions, and that's true with everybody.
True.
So tell me a little bit about your family, Praveen, meaning I believe you're married.
Yes, I'm married, and I have a son. He's 10 years old, and he's in class 5 now. So we enjoy life. I mean, I always say this to people that I enjoy life like anybody else.
When you live life in the mainstream, and you travel and you meet people and you go through various experiences. I think it was you who told me once that there are a lot of funny situations that happen, comic situations Have you been through any of these comic sessions, situations in life?
Yeah, I mean, every day there is something or the other, George. I mean, as I said, if we take something as as a problem, it becomes a problem. It keeps lingering in your mind and heart. But if you take that with a small, humor, then things will be totally different. So let me give you a small example. One of my neighbor is a very senior person. So he asked me, "You work? I see you going out to the office, coming back, and you're very active. You must be getting a salary." See that point, it's actually hurting you. Okay, he's kind of undermining you. But I didn't take it that way. I said, okay, it's funny that he's asking me this question. So I turned around back to him and said, "So how do you think I manage my family? I have my bills to pay. I have different things, and you're seeing me every day." So he said, yes, no, I can understand. You must be getting a salary. So, you put it around and, kind of just get it out there as a humorous thing. So it's sorted.
In fact, a lot of these questions are asked out of ignorance and not with the intent to hurt.
Yeah, but many people do get hurt out of it. They do get hurt. Yeah, because traveling so much, people do ask me strange questions. And particularly in the train, when you're sitting in that coupe with strangers, and they just see you using your braille watch or your smartwatch, and oh, okay, how do you do this? Okay, oh, okay, and then how do you know where to get down? How do you use the washroom here in the train? How do you get to that particular point, and so on? So sometimes it's a bit irritating, but I feel that it's not, because they are ignorant, and it's our responsibility to educate them and sensitize them on issues of disability.
Right, Praveen, it's been wonderful kind of interacting with you and talking about life and issues that you've been engaged with, grappling with. Thank you for the time, and wish you the very best.
Thank you, George. Thanks for the opportunity to be interviewed and speaking on this platform. So thanks a lot.
Eyeway, ये है रोशनी का कारवां.
This podcast was brought to you by Score Foundation.
ये है रोशनी, रोशनी, रोशनी का कारवां, रोशनी.